Though I do love cats, so I would have watched that cat video regardless. Hey there, I'm back. So as some of you know, I just very recently, within the past month, started this channel, and it kind of kickstarted faster than I expected it to, but it's been great. So I'm trying to kind of put together a posting schedule that I can fit into my life, considering that I have a full-time job, a relationship, pets, family, friends, all of that. So if all goes as planned, I will hopefully get to a point where I will start uploading twice a week. And I hope that's something that some of you are looking forward to. A lot of you complimented my low side bun in one of my other videos, so we're bringing her back. But yeah, to get into it, some of you may have already figured out that for a while I've been wanting to make a video about Morgan Adams, but more specifically the experiences Morgan has had interacting with the beauty community in the past year or so, which we really kind of started to learn about in the past 4 months or so, with a couple of videos uploaded by Shane Dawson on his main channel as well as his second channel, Shane Glosson. This is a super quick reminder to like and subscribe if that's something you want to do. If that's not something you want to do, I'm sorry for the interruption. I'll shut up and start talking now. So to kind of start from the beginning, Morgan Adams is a 22-year-old YouTuber. The way that she kind of started her YouTube career is through her brother, Ryland Adams, who is fiance to Shane Dawson. So it was about 2 years ago that Ryland and Shane really encouraged Morgan to move out to LA, spend some time living with them, kind of establish herself there. Physically in LA as well as on the YouTube platform. And right away, people loved her. She was in a lot of Shane's videos. She was in a lot of Ryland's videos. She really just kind of seemed to click so well within that little group. Shane, Ryland, Andrew, Garrett. And people really got to see who she was as this funny, genuine, quirky, and clumsy, but very sweet girl. And to my knowledge, she's never been problematic. She hasn't really seemed to have any sort of beef with anyone in the community. She describes herself as very laid back, and she comes across that way. And so, of course, I came to really love her and her personality too. So it really doesn't matter what her content is, whether she's putting together an IKEA wardrobe or showing us her new cat that she adopted. It really doesn't matter. I'm tuning in because I want to see Morgan for Morgan. Though I do love cats, so I would have watched that cat video regardless. And one thing I've noticed about Morgan, and I'm sure a lot of viewers have, is that part of her sense of humor is self-deprecation. Really around all facets of herself. But more specifically, I think what jumps out at us is how self-deprecating she can be about her appearance, which to some extent her audience doesn't understand because we all tend to think that she's gorgeous because she is. But at the same time, I get it. When you really kind of look at where she is in life, it sort of makes sense. She's 22, which for me was the toughest age in my youth in terms of just when I think of when I felt the most insecure. So she's 22, she's living in LA where the culture is very focused on not just physical appearance, but almost a template for what people should look like. There's a lot of pressure there, as we all know, to look a certain way and to essentially manufacture that if need be. So LA is running rampant with cosmetic procedures, plastic surgery, and a lot of people have spoken about the culture in LA being very fake. Fake in regards to people's appearances as well as the way they interact with others. And on top of all that, she is now in the world of influencers, young influencers. And whether or not you are in close proximity to the people that you're comparing yourself to, just kind of being on social media and the culture across Instagram and social media in general, there's a lot of pressure there too, especially for young women, to look a certain way. So that's something I've kind of always noticed about Morgan, and that really kind of came to a head about a year ago when she went on a brand trip with Tarte Cosmetics alongside about 24 other influencers to Hawaii. Now, I saw a photo on Tarte's Instagram of the group that went on this trip. And I did notice that for the most part, I didn't recognize anyone in that photo. I recognized Morgan, of course, Manny MUA. I'd heard of Raw Beauty Christie, and I know of Laura DIY. But the rest of these people I'd never heard of. And that's going to be important later. So what happened during that trip really kind of came to light over a couple of videos that Shane put out on his main channel, as well as his second channel, Shane Glosson. So I'm going to reference footage from those videos, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm not going to differentiate which clip came from which video. Both of those videos were shot with the same footage at the same time, and they will be linked down in the description, so feel free to go watch those to really get a comprehensive recap of everything that went down. So in these videos, Shane is working on his palette with Jeffree Star. And in these videos, Shane is corresponding with Morgan, who is actually coming back from this Hawaii trip, and expressing to him that she did not have a good time. She feels awful. She never wants to go on one of these trips again, and she's worried because she signed a contract that kind of locks her into more of these trips. When she comes back, she talks about how rude these beauty gurus were to her.
I would just say, hi, my name's Morgan, and they'd be like...
She said it was almost kind of an inside joke where she started counting how many people either were or were not willing to talk to her. Essentially, she said she'd walk up to people and introduce herself. Hi, I'm Morgan, how are you? And most of these people would just stare right through her, which amazes me. And she tried to kind of defend them, saying, well, maybe they thought that I was working for the brand. And Shane and Rylan pointed out to her that even if that were the case, that is still unacceptable. And furthermore, she went on to talk about how she's coming back from this trip with a whole new set of stressors around her physical appearance.
That they like want me to do like fillers, but they also like make your Instagram look like this. You need to only take pictures with photographers. You need to do all these things to your videos. And I told Shannon that, and he was like, do not absolutely do that.
That now she's thinking she needs straighter teeth, fake teeth, a nose job, lip injections, Botox, which is insane to us for a number of reasons. For one, Morgan is already gorgeous, and to think that she would need any of these things seems pretty preposterous to a lot of us. But it seemed like that was very real for her, the pressure to get work done. As she put it, cosmetic procedures was just the hot topic the whole time she was there. She said that people would show up and just ask other people, what work have you gotten done? Oh, you need to go see this person to get this procedure done, which is something she'd never experienced before, but now she is all too aware of.
But I've never thought about that before in my life. It's like a cold. They like suck you in. They're like, let me give you the needles.
And something else she noted was how she learned about something called the 30% rule.
Oh my God, have you ever heard about the 30% rule? Oh my God.
And this rule dictates that you, assuming you're a beauty influencer, you should only befriend people who are within 30% of your current following. So anybody who has up to 30% more followers or subscribers than you, or people who have up to 30% fewer followers or subscribers as you, which kind of made people stop dead in their tracks. Like, that sounds insane. Now, from a business standpoint, that does seem like a smart tactic. If you were to say that you should collaborate with people who are within that 30% bracket. And that's something we've seen for a long time. Creators typically will collaborate with other creators who have a similar following in size as well as demographic. So if we're talking about sheerly collaborations and work, I get that. The problem here is that Morgan said that the rule applies to friendships.
How many people told you that that was a thing? Person's
Oh, like
weird.
people know about it.
It's literally like a hierarchy of like, okay, these people have the most followers, so they're this, and then these people are beneath them. It's just like this weird, the way everyone views each other. But to them, it's these definitive points, and it's just like, no, I don't live my life like that.
And that's just scary, dude. That's scary. To think that for some people, all of their self-worth is getting wrapped up in numbers, as well as an appearance. And not even a uniqueness to this appearance, their appearance as it compares to this prescribed standard. So as Shane is working with Jeffree Star on his palette, he does go to Jeffree and enlists Jeffree to give Morgan a come to Jesus talk, to which of course he agreed.
Send me the fucking brand and I'll handle it now.
But Shane and Jeffree kind of got to talking a little bit about the culture within those beauty guru bubbles and why he doesn't go on those trips anymore. Some of the behaviors he witnessed there. I would encourage watching the videos. They really kind of shed a lot of light on what's going on in these circles. I will say, spoiler, it's not good. And relating back to numbers, Shane brings up how Morgan mentioned to him that a lot of the people on this trip were talking a lot about money, brand deals, how much they were making. And Jeffree pointed out that he does not believe Shane or Morgan or anyone should pay attention to these things because he believes that these types of influencers tend to lie about these things as kind of playing that numbers game, that game where we're comparing ourselves to each other and trying to one-up each other as a means to gain that status that they so desire. And one thing I really loved about Jeffree, which I know that I've said before that I'm not a huge fan of Jeffree, but I can still recognize in these moments when he has done something good and when he has been good. So I do want to point that out. But one thing he pointed out was how he believes these influencers are lying about a lot of things. He says,
if they were all just themselves, imagine how great everyone would get along, you know?
Which makes perfect sense for why Morgan felt so out of place among these people. She is somebody who's very genuine. But here's what I think is funny about beauty influencer math. If Morgan is to follow the 30% rule, that means that she should only befriend people within a bracket of 2.2 million to 4.3 million, as she has 3.3 million subscribers now. So I'm going to throw some numbers up here of followers and subscriber counts for some of these influencers that were on this trip. But kind of how I mentioned earlier that when I looked at this photo, I did not recognize most of the people that were on this trip. Morgan mentioned too that most of the people on this trip were not very well known. Jeffree commented on this and said, yeah, that's for a reason. And we, when he says we, he means we actual well-known beauty influencers. He said that's why we don't go on these things. So it's pretty funny to me, actually, to think that these influencers so value numbers above anything else besides maybe looks and money. And yet, in that regard, Morgan is miles and miles ahead of them at 3.3 million subscribers. So, like I said, according to this rule, Morgan's friends should fall between that 2.2 to 4.3 bracket, right? But then I noticed who's hanging out with Morgan during this time back in LA. Tana Mongeau.
I'm really busy. I hang out with Tana now. We hang out every day. Like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
You'll get worn out quick with that one.
At 5.2 million subscribers. Now, if you guys want me to make a more comprehensive video about Tana, I'd be open to doing something like that where I talk a little bit more about a lot of the scandals and controversies that she's been involved in, but I'm not interested in doing that there. I solely want to point out that during a time when Morgan was feeling less than at the hands of other members of this social media influencer YouTube world, there's Tana. And I saw a couple videos over the past year, some on Tana's channel, some on Morgan's channel, of the two of them hanging out, and I had a lot of fun watching the two of them together. They seem to genuinely get along. I might have to go back and watch the videos, but I don't think they even really talked about numbers or anything like that. They were mostly like goofing around and stuff like that. They were a lot of fun to watch together. But yeah, that gives me a certain kind of respect and a soft spot in my heart for people like Tana Mongeau, who jokes about clout and all of that, but does seem to be able to be a good friend when she's stripped down to kind of her true self. That's my take on Tana and Morgan. Don't come for me. You guys can have completely differing opinions, and that's totally fine. But I really appreciated this about her. And similarly, I really appreciated this about Jeffrey, who's also a massive star. Shane is a massive star. And these are all part of Morgan's crew. It's all really ironic when you think about what matters to the bad guys in this situation, for lack of a better term, what matters to them, and how Morgan performs against them. It's like sweet poetic justice. And it makes me wonder what could have been going through the heads of these influencers, how intimidated they could have possibly been by Morgan for being so successful on the platform so fast and looking nothing like them. Still being beautiful with no work done. She's everything that they're not, and yet, at least when it comes to numbers, everything they want to be. So if you think about it through that lens, I mean, it really is kind of a happy ending to the story, although it really did feel sad as you're going through it with them watching the footage. It is sad. It is sad that this is how people are living their lives and conducting their interpersonal relationships. It's sad that they made Morgan feel this way about herself, because those things stick with you. But Morgan really seems to have a solid group of good, genuine people around her that are looking after her there in LA and across the YouTube platform. So I do hope that she was able to kind of separate herself from the beauty community and focus on those real relationships that she has within her immediate circle. And I hope she just continues to kill it, because what she's doing is genuine and authentic. And I believe that that is what creates long-lasting, fulfilling success on this platform. Just from what I've seen over the years, I think that Morgan has what it takes to do this for a long time, or however long she decides she wants to do this, but to have a fulfilling experience while she does. As far as people within these cliques, these beauty community, Instagram influencer type of cliques, I don't know if that's something that we'll see change over time because of how dysfunctional it is, or if it's going to become a new thing, a new one of your mean cliques. Just to kind of relate this to my personal experience, about 10 years ago when I first started thinking that I wanted to create a YouTube channel, one of the ideas that I would bring up and that sometimes my friends would encourage was to create a makeup tutorial channel. And at that time, I was watching Candy Johnson, I think somebody named Bubs Beauty, Michelle Fan. There were a few makeup artist YouTubers. And at that time, the culture around, they weren't even called beauty influencers or beauty YouTubers. They were really makeup tutorial channels. But anyway, the culture around them seemed to be one that encouraged creativity and education. That's what I got from it anyway. Now, of course, that was never going to become my reality because, as a lot of you can probably tell, I'm not even capable of putting on my lipstick properly. So makeup isn't exactly my thing, and I'm okay with that. I have, however, dipped my toe in the world of fashion, I should say. In that, several years ago, I went to art school to start a master's degree in fashion design. I got about halfway through that degree when I was offered a job working in fashion. Now, to be real about this, it wasn't a fashion job, it was a glorified retail job. But I saw it as one where I could have the opportunity to express my creativity through outfits and fashion, which is something that I loved to do on a personal level and with my friends. And I thought, hey, I can make a career of this, absolutely. So I quit school, went into this job, and found the culture within this workspace to be very intimidating in a way that I didn't expect. The best way I can describe it is it felt like high school again for cool kids and mean girls, which is a world I don't really know. I was not one of the cool kids or mean girls in high school. So I really felt like a fish out of water in this setting where people were nice one-on-one for the most part, interacting with each other. But I did really start to get the feeling that what was valued in that community were numbers. And in this case, that means money, labels, essentially how expensive your clothes were. but not really creativity. So over the course of about 2.5, 3 years in this job, I really felt my love and passion for clothes and putting together creative outfits. That love and that passion started to burn out. And that's sad. It was something I was so excited about before starting that job. And since leaving that place, I've been working at getting that piece of myself back and really getting to focus on the creative aspect of how I present myself. But although I love fashion, to some extent makeup and beauty, whether I can do my lipstick or not, I just can't see myself trying to break into those worlds. It's too scary, too dysfunctional, too fake, nowhere that I would survive, probably. And that's probably why I don't watch makeup videos anymore at all. I pick up on what's going on within the beauty community here and there, because when something pops up, then it kind of transcends its own community and everybody learns about what happened between these people and this group and that group. Of course, I hear about those things, but I'm usually a little bit late because I've just stopped watching beauty YouTubers altogether. It just kind of makes me feel, ugh, I don't like it. So that's my 2 cents on that. Whether you agree with me or not on any of this, I'd really like to hear what you think respectfully in the comments. To the one person watching who's not me, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys are even paying any attention to what I have to say. So thank you. Thank you to all of you. So yeah, I guess I'll catch you guys in the comments. Bye.